Okay, continuing on in our Civil 3D Basic Bridge Design series. Today we're going to cover sheet setup, um, sheet sets, and preparing our layouts for plotting. So we're almost at the point within our design that we would be ready for, say, a 30% plan set. Um, so one of the things we like to do is obviously we'll have to plot all of these, but if we can create a sheet set within AutoCAD or Civil 3D, this will allow a better organization of our sheets and allow for plotting all at once, even across multiple drawings. Um, so currently, and for like a 30% plans, you at least want to have your P&P mostly done, your section views. Here on this one, we also have a guardrail layout and a bridge P&P, and also bridge details. This isn't quite finished yet. But as far as our basic sheets go, we'll have a title sheet. We have a couple of notes sheets. We have our typical sections. Um, and then for 30%, we won't be ready for this, but we have pay summary and summary tables. And other things like traffic control, erosion control sheets, things like that. But right now, we're just going to cover the basic setup and how we want to create all these sheets. The first thing we want to do is for each of these, we want to right click on the actual layout here tab and go to plot. And so that'll bring up our plotting dialog box. And within this, we want to make sure for each of our sheets, before we set them up in a sheet set, before they plot all at once, we want to make sure this actually is set to be the way it should be. So check your plot styles. We have a separate style, CTC black, but there's a lot of different ones that are standard in AutoCAD. We want this paper size. We want to generally, we would want to plot the layout, but sometimes there's objects within the layout, or we've kind of thrown in random things throughout, drawn a line outside of the boundary that kind of throws that off a little bit. So we're just going to preview this and make sure it lines up correctly. Okay, which it does. So we're going to exit out of that, but now those are the settings that we want. So we want to apply that to the layout. And then we're just going to cancel because we don't want to actually plot this, but we just want to get the settings set. So we're going to work through, and so all of these need to follow that as well and verify. So I'm not going to show you doing every single one, but that would be the process. Okay, and make sure you apply it to the layout, otherwise everything you just did doesn't really matter. Okay, so we have these sheets here. So we actually have two separate drawings open. So within my civil base, I normally have the basic sheets that will reference my civil drawing, my design drawing. So plan and profile are section views, guardrail layout, bridge, overview things. So things that are directly related to the design. And then it's generally easier to not have everything stuffed in one drawing. So once you start getting more than about 8 to 10 layouts within a single drawing, it gets really bulky and can cause issues. And you can get to a point where it just won't work very well. The drawing's too big. So it's nice to have separate drawings that have these different layouts. Now it works the same. We have our XREF title block. We have our names and each information on these sheets. So, and we also have multiple other sheets for different drawings, or different drawings that contain multiple different sheets throughout. And sometimes it can vary depending on what you need to be in your drawing. So some things like survey control or a watershed map, these will need to have their own drawing essentially in model space. That it's good to maybe XREF the design or at least the survey into there and then manipulate that from there. So that's why it's good to always have separate drawings for some of these. It just depends on what the base is. So right now what I want to do is create a sheet set. So I type in sheet set, and then it just pops up with this sheet set manager. Right now we have nothing going on. So we want to click down here. We want to create a new sheet set. So we can either use an old example one. So if you had the exact same file, sheet layouts and things like that, that would be good. Or you can just use existing drawings. So we're going to use existing drawings. I'll name this for our project sheet set. I mean, you can add a description if you want. So you can also, it creates an actual file, a DST file for our sheet set. So you generally want to dump that into your actual design folder there. Okay, and then you can come in and you can set certain sheet set properties. Ours are based on our template, and so you can set all those different things, or customize that. Let's go to next, and so now we want to select folders containing the drawings. Okay, so we'll come down to our actual project folder, and we're going to click on that. And now if we give it a second, it will actually show every single thing that's in that folder and all the options we could have. So we're going to click out some of these because we don't actually need those. We don't need things from the survey base. And sometimes it doesn't actually bring up every single thing. So, but right now we're going to take a look, see what we can find that we need. So we have our civil base here. Now note it didn't bring up the actual file that we've got open, so we'll take care of that in a minute. But we want our civil base, and so we want the P&P, the 50 scale, we want our 2 sections, guardrail layout, okay, so everything but that. So we're going to click next, and we're just going to create the sheet set based on this for now, okay. So we have a new sheet set, and we'll finish. Okay, so now we have that, and we have this sometimes, and these are really long names here. So how we manipulate the sheet set, we can right click on each of these. We can rename and renumber. So depending on where this will fall, I'm not 100% sure right now. Let's just say this is going to be actually 7. And we can change the name to whatever we want. We can just put plan and profile at 50 scale if we want. Okay, and we can work through all of these. Same thing. We can do that cross section, 10 scale, however we want to do this. Okay, just gonna hit OK. And now, say we want to bring in some more sheets, say from this drawing. We can right click up here on this title, or we can do it down here. But we can just say I want a new sheet. Or we can import a layout as a sheet is what we actually want. So we're going to go back, browse for drawings, and then we'll find the one we're actually in right now. Open that up. And now it's got, we can click all of these. And we can check those. And now we have them in here already. So we could go through and let's just start numbering these. Okay, based on the order, at least they're in here. 4. Okay. Okay, and we'll actually need to work and reset all these numbers here. And we can move these around. So even though you have a number, you need to actually set it in the order here, right, that you want it to print. So that actually worked. So now that we've got here, so we'll renumber these. And so it all lines up here. 10, 11. Okay. All right, so that's our sheet set. So we can add to this as we go. We can move the numbers around. We can do different things. But the nice thing, and again, a note is all the layouts need to have been set, because whatever you have plotting styles you have applied to the layout, again, right click, go to plot, that's what's going to print when we get to this point. But the nice thing is once those are all set and you know they're right, anytime you want to print the sheet set, you come up here, right click, publish. You can publish a lot of different ways, but just to PDF, we'll just save it there for now. And it will actually go through and plot all of this as a single PDF. So each sheet one at a time. And so it works through them, and any drawings that aren't open, it will actually open them up as part of this process. And then you'll need to be around to actually click anything, to open the actual drawings. One thing to note here is when you're going to plot, if you have unreconciled layers within your drawing, which I think we've dealt with in another video, it's going to ask you to reconcile those or to deal with those. So it's good anytime you see that little warning pop up that says you have unreconciled layers, it's good to just take care of that so you don't have any issues in plotting. So see, it's completely done now. So if we come in here, let's see, did it save in the documents? Okay, and there it is. There's our sheet set. So now we have all of our sheets in one place, and we've worked through it. Okay, so that's a quick and easy way, and you can add those up. You could have multiple sheet sets for a single drawing or for a single project. So you could say this is your 30% sheet set, this is your 60%, this is your 90%, and have that reordered or different things. But if you have that set up, then you can just plot it as needed whenever for different drafts or versions. So one other thing I do want to point out, because this is very useful, because a lot of times, say something like this is our bridge layout, but we've got a pretty good setup here. This is, once we have created these sheets, and especially some of these extra information, so the bridge schematic and borings, things like that, we don't always want to have to recreate that for every single drawing, right? So if you have these, you've already saved these, or somebody else in your company has saved these, it's easy to just bring those into your drawing. So the way to do that is, say I know there's another drawing that has this sheet in here, and I want to bring it in. If you right click on one of the layouts and you actually go to From Template, click there, it will allow you to come in and find another drawing. Say we'll just find one here, and you can pick a layout from there. That's just for grins, we'll do this one. Okay, and it will bring that layout into your drawing. And so now now we have this new sheet, this new layout, which is already set. Okay, so the nice thing about that is not having to replicate things from other drawings. Obviously you can also always copy the whole thing, the whole drawing, and reference that, but that's a good way to just bring in a single layout one at a time. Now sometimes, depending on the drawing that it comes from, it will again have a lot of unreconciled layers that you need to deal with, but that's fine. You can deal with that. So that's a quick overview of plotting and doing sheet sets and working with some of the layout views. So that's it for this video. Thanks.